Greetings to the Ship family, faculty, students, and staff. This is Bill Ruud, President of Shippensburg University. I know you're all concerned about the recent budget challenges that we have seen from the governor's office and some of the challenges that we've seen in the debates in the legislature. I wanted to come to you today and reassure you that we're working very, very hard on your behalf. I want you to understand some of the issues and some of the information about what the budget challenges are that we face. And I want to make sure that you all know that we will work hard over the next 60, 90, 120 days to resolve and find some good solutions to the budget challenge, and Shippensburg University will continue. This is an unprecedented challenge we face, to have 50% of our appropriation reduced. Unfortunately, we made the NPR that we are number one in the worst reduction in state appropriation in the 50 United States. I'm hopeful that Governor Corbett, along with the Senate, along with the legislature, will work together, along with the Office of the Chancellor and the 14 state universities, to find compromises, common ground, and additional resources that will allow us to make tuition increases appropriate and moderate the challenges that we face as we move into 2011, 2012. I'm here today with student media, and I'm very, very happy to answer any and all of their questions.
President Ruud, good morning. Thank you for your time today. I'm Kyle Rogers from SUTV News, and I just want to talk to you, if this budget goes as is, what changes will we see in tuition?
Oh, the changes potentially, Kyle, could be dramatic. A 50% tuition reduction, if it holds, could mean as high as a 33% tuition increase. So an appropriation reduction of 50% for us is about $16 million. Put it into rough numbers, our plans are looking at a 15% budget reduction. If that holds and nothing else happens, the compensating tuition increase is 33%, which is roughly $2,000. That's a game breaker for a lot of students. That's a game breaker for the university. We're very, very hopeful that it won't go that high. So I'm hopeful that some combination of restoration of funds in terms of our appropriation, some combination of a partnership between the Office of the Chancellor and the 14 state universities in appropriate budget reductions, and then some appropriate tuition increase on the students' part.
Yeah, how does that leave Shippensburg competitively, since one of our selling points has been lower tuition?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'm hopeful that even with what some students might find a higher tuition than they've seen in the past, relative to, we'll still be in a very good tuition position. Last year, the average four-year public tuition was in excess of $7,000. So even at $5,800 with some larger tuition increase than we've seen in the past, that we'll still be competitive. I think the Pell Grants will still be competitive. I think FIA grants will still be competitive. And I think our foundation will work hard with scholarships to continue to make it competitive. But we need to work hard to make sure that that tuition increase isn't totally on the backs of the students, so that the legislature and the state of Pennsylvania don't understand that what we really need to do is fund our future. Students are willing to be a part of that future, but they're not willing to be a partner by themselves.
Hello,
Hi.
I'm Carissa Llewellyn, and I'm
Hi,
the
Chris.
editor-in-chief of The Slate. What will happen if the budget goes through? What is the next step?
If the budget goes through, or when the budget goes through?
If and when.
Well, there's two or three steps that are still remaining. One is the Senate Appropriations Committee and the House Appropriations Committee needs to come back after all their hearings and listen to all pieces and parts of the budget. I mean, one thing I think people in higher ed need to understand is that even though our $16 million or our $32 million is very important to us, there's still a $27 or $28 billion budget. So everybody has a day in the sun in front of the Appropriations Committee. The legislature needs to decide on a recommendation back to the governor, and then there is the compromise. There's the conversations in the front room and the back room about what can we trade off for what can we increase, what can't we increase. The Board of Governors weighs in at the end of June. We're very happy for the first time in a number of years, instead of having a tuition setting meeting in the third week of July. Our Board of Governors will now have a tuition setting meeting the last week of June. Hopefully the advantage will be to students, regardless of what the tuition set is, that you will have a little bit more time to be able to pay the bills for next fall. As that process goes on, we have an advocacy day where students are going up in leadership from Shippensburg on the 4th and 5th of April to talk with our legislators. Myself and other members of the senior leadership team, members of our council of trustees, are meeting with our local legislators to make sure they understand. At the same time, we're trying to put out the message that Shippensburg University is a huge economic driver in the state of Pennsylvania. It's all about students, and when you really cut to the chase, it's all about the students and all about what we do for students, and ultimately all about what the students do for the state of Pennsylvania. 80% of you that graduate stay in Pennsylvania, 60% of you stay in the 10-county region, and you become the taxpayers and the partners in the Commonwealth for the future. So this is a piece of your future as well as a piece of your present.
Good morning, Dr. Ruud.
Hi.
I'm Barbara Shindo, the executive producer for SUTV News. What is being done now here at Shippensburg in anticipation for the budget cuts?
Okay, great question. 2 or 3 things. We've had a series of 3 open forums. I have had interviews with student newspaper, student TV. I'm having an interview today with student media. I had a session yesterday. We had a teach-in day with ABSCUF. Our biggest goal, number 1, is information. I think one of the challenges in budget situations, it's a very complicated process. I think a lot of people think that, oh yeah, we set the tuition, there are fees, and off we go. Well, as people dig a little bit deeper into it, I think you're starting to see the differences between how Penn State, Pitt, Lincoln, and Temple are funded versus how the 14 schools are funded, what the issue of fee is and how FIA grants come into place. So right now the big thing is information. The second big thing is encouraging students, faculty, staff, alumni to advocate on our behalf, whether it's through letter writing, emails, personal visits to their legislature. I have been encouraging students and reminding students that being of the next generation, you guys are all about Facebook and Twitter and social networking. Some of those of us that are of previous generations are not. So please engage with us in reaching out in those formats to help spread the information. The final issue is that we've added a study by the College of Business that really, I think, helps a lot of people in indicating that the entire Apache system is a $3.7 billion economic driver to the state of Pennsylvania. What that means on a $465 million appropriation, for every $1 the state gives us, we give $7 back. I think a fun figure that I told students a couple times that the students should know is if you think about what a student just spends on a daily basis on the average, $2 for a soda, $1.50 for a candy bar, $6 to $8 on stuff. 120,000 Apache students are a $325 million annual economic driver to the state of Pennsylvania. And I don't think the Commonwealth wants to give that up.
Okay, are you making any plans about what's going to happen, what you're going to do if these budget cuts go through?
Oh,
like, for
absolutely.
example, like pay freezes for faculty and staff?
Sure. We have created there's as many as 85 to 100 scenarios out there, depending on whether we get full funding or no funding. So everything's on the table, whether it's furloughs, salary freezes, programs, issues, departments, buildings, energy, heat, air conditioning, you name it. If it's an idea, it's on the table. And then we're trying to figure out where we can combine the best and biggest impacts and affecting the fewest people, okay? The challenge where we are is since we've already cut $18.5 million out of our budget over the last 8 years, the state would be asking us to cut $15 million out in 1 year. Unfortunately, you can't make that up in $5,000 and $10,000 increments. You have to make that up in $75,000 and $100,000 increments. The problem is usually that comes from people in positions. We'd rather that those positions would be vacant positions, but we're also potentially anticipating some retirements, which would vacate some positions. So everything is on the table, and we are even anticipating potentially if we have to use some of our reserve dollars to get us through 11-12, depending on what the decisions are. We have collective bargaining agreements and other kinds of rules and regulations we have to follow. But no, some of the scenarios that we create will create a Shippensburg University that you guys won't like. It will change the fabric, it'll change the integrity, it'll change the reason why you came here, and we'd really rather not do that. So even though we have the scenarios, we're trying to spend our time convincing the Commonwealth and its leadership to change the allocation.
Okay, just have one follow-up for that.
Sure.
If their faculty cuts do happen, what will that do to our reputation as having a great faculty to student ratio?
Absolutely. As soon as you reduce positions, course offerings, program degrees, program majors, and reduce the opportunity, students see that. They see that it's not the same program they signed up for. They start spreading that to other people. We would rather that not happen. The other challenge as we reduce the offerings that we have, and you all may have seen it who are scheduling for next fall, instead of 10 sections of a course, there's now only 6. Instead of 5 sections of a course, there's now only 2. So the other problem and the other penalty we don't want to put on students is we don't want to put you in a position where all of a sudden not only is the tuition higher, but you have to stay longer to finish your degree, and then we penalize you twice in increased tuition dollars over a 5-year period instead of a 4-year period.